The mop bucket rattled across the polished marble floors of Sterling Tech's headquarters, each squeak echoing through the hallway like a reminder of everything Daniel Hayes had endured over the years. He wiped sweat from his forehead as he pushed the bucket toward the executive wing, trying to ignore the ache in his shoulders from working a double shift. He'd barely slept the night before. Lily, his 10-year-old daughter, had suffered a severe asthma flare, and he'd spent the early hours sitting on the edge of her bed, monitoring her breathing, praying she wouldn't need an emergency room visit he couldn't afford. Being a single dad meant he didn't get to fall apart, even when exhaustion clawed at him. He had to stay standing. For her. Always for her. Daniel dipped the mop into the bucket and began scrubbing a scuff mark left by someone's expensive shoes when a voice, sharp, cold, commanding, shot through the hallway like a bullet. "You," Cassandra Sterling snapped, pointing at him as though he were an offense to her eyesight. "In my office, now." His stomach clenched. Cassandra Sterling, Billionaire CEO, founder of Sterling Tech, a woman whose name alone made board members tremble. Beautiful in a statuesque way, intimidating in every other, she carried an aura that told the world she got exactly what she wanted, when she wanted it. And today, apparently, she wanted him. Daniel lifted his eyes but didn't speak. He couldn't afford backtalk. She turned immediately and walked away, trusting he would follow. And of course he did. He pushed his mop aside and hurried after her, trying not to imagine why she'd called him. Had someone complained? Had he made a mistake? Had his supervisor said something? He had no strikes on his record. He worked quietly, diligently. But people in power didn't always need a reason. He stepped into her office, a massive corner room where glass windows offered a panoramic view of the city. The room was too clean, too perfect, like a showroom rather than a workspace. Cassandra stood behind her desk, arms folded, her jaw tight. "Mr. Hayes," she began, her voice clipped. "Security flagged suspicious activity last night involving your badge access. You were seen near the prototype lab after hours." Daniel blinked. "Ma'am, She lifted a hand, silencing him instantly. "Let me be clear. That is a restricted area. Unauthorized presence is grounds for termination." His chest tightened painfully. "There was a leak," he explained calmly, fighting to keep his voice steady. "My supervisor called me. I fixed the pipe in the hallway outside. I never stepped inside the lab." "That's not what the report implies. Please, check the maintenance logs. I don't have time to verify every excuse from an employee who has no business being near sensitive company material." Her eyes flashed, cold and dismissive. "Effective immediately. You are terminated." The floor dropped from beneath him. Fired. Fired over a misunderstanding he didn't even get the chance to clarify. Fired when rent was due in a week. Fired when Lily's medication was running low. Fired when he had no savings left, because every paycheck went to survival. He felt the world tilt, but he didn't beg, even though desperation clawed at his throat. Begging wouldn't help people like him. People like her didn't listen anyway. She pressed a button on her desk phone. "Security will escort you out." 2 guards appeared almost instantly. Daniel took a slow breath, forcing composure. "Don't panic." Lily needed him calm. Lily needed him functional. Lily needed him alive. He followed the guards down the hallway, his chest aching with humiliation. Employees glanced their way, some whispering, others pretending not to look. His face burned. He'd never been escorted out of any place before. The guards were polite, but their presence felt like chains. Each step toward the lobby felt heavier, more suffocating. He tried to picture how he'd tell Lily, "Sweetheart, Daddy lost his job." She'd try to smile through it, pretend she wasn't scared. She always did, and that thought shattered him more than Cassandra's cold dismissal ever could. As they neared the lobby, one of the guards opened the glass door, but before Daniel could step through, a small voice pierced the air. High-pitched, panicked, familiar. "Daddy Daniel." Daniel froze. The guards froze. Half the lobby froze. A little girl in bright pink sneakers sprinted down the stairs, hair bouncing wildly, face flushed from running. Emma Sterling, the CEO's daughter. 8 years old, bright-eyed, gentle, and one of the few people who talked to Daniel like he mattered. She crashed into him with a hug so tight he staggered. "Don't go," she cried, gripping his shirt with tiny fists. "Please don't go." Daniel felt the breath leave his lungs. "Emma, sweetheart, it's okay." "No, it's not," she cried louder, tears welling. "You can't leave." The guards looked at each other helplessly. Employees stopped mid-step, staring. Then Cassandra Sterling appeared at the top of the lobby staircase, eyes narrowed in confusion. "Emma, what are you doing down here?" Emma turned toward her mother, but didn't release Daniel's hand. Her lower lip trembled. She took a shaky breath. "Mom," she said softly, then louder, her voice breaking. "You can't fire him." Cassandra blinked, thrown off for the first time that anyone in the building could remember. "Emma, why?" And then Emma stepped closer to her mother, tugged on her sleeve, and whispered something that made Cassandra's entire posture change. Her eyes widened, her lips parted, the color drained from her face. Daniel heard only fragments, but then Emma spoke again, this time loud enough for the entire lobby to hear, her voice trembling with emotion. "Because he saved my life." Gasps rippled across the room. Cassandra stared at her daughter, stunned, then looked at Daniel with an expression that was no longer cold, no longer unbothered. It was something else entirely. Something shaken, something human, and Daniel realized the entire world had just shifted. Part 2. Cassandra descended the stairs slowly, each step seeming to shake loose another layer of her seemingly impenetrable armor. Her hands trembled slightly at her sides. The guards stepped back, unsure of what to do, watching their Ice Queen CEO look as shaken as any ordinary mother. Emma held Daniel's hand like it was the only thing anchoring her to safety. She stood protectively in front of him, tiny shoulders squared. Daniel had never seen her this distressed. He knelt beside her, trying to soothe her. "Emma, sweetheart, I'm okay." "No," she whispered fiercely, "you're not." She turned toward her mother, wiping tears from her cheeks with the back of her sleeve. Tell her what happened." Daniel shook his head. "Emma, you don't need to." "Yes, I do." She looked at her mother with the bravest face an 8-year-old could muster. "Mom, that man at the charity fair, the one who tried to take me." Cassandra's breathing hitched visibly. "Emma, what are you saying?" Emma took a deep breath, voice cracking. "It was Daniel who saved me. He tackled the bad man. He kept me safe. He held me until the guards came. He wouldn't let him take me." A silent bomb went off in the room. Cassandra's knees almost buckled. Daniel felt the memory roar back. The scream, the man in the black jacket grabbing Emma, the van door half open. He'd dropped everything, literally everything, and sprinted without thought. He'd thrown himself into the man with enough force to knock him off his feet, pinning him down until help arrived. He'd stayed with Emma afterward, whispering that she was safe, that he wouldn't let anything happen to her. He remembered her tiny hands clinging to his shirt. He remembered the way she shook. Security and police handled the aftermath swiftly, privately, because the Sterling family didn't want the scandal to go public. And somehow, through the chaos, his name was never revealed to Cassandra. Cassandra looked at him now, realization crashing into her like a tidal wave. "You," she breathed, barely audible. "You saved her." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. "I just did what anyone should have done." "No," Cassandra said hoarsely. "Not anyone. Not everyone would have risked their life." Her eyes glistened, something inside her shattering. A billionaire CEO who commanded cities and corporations, but in this moment, she was just a mother who'd almost lost her child. And she'd fired the man who saved her. "Guards," Cassandra whispered, her voice cracking, "step away from him." They immediately stepped back. Cassandra approached Daniel slowly, hesitantly. "Mr. Hayes, please, I need you to come back to my office." Daniel looked uncertain. Hurt clung to him like a shadow. "Ma'am, I don't think." Cassandra swallowed, lowering her voice. "Please." It was the rawest word he'd ever heard from her. He nodded, mostly for Emma's sake, and followed Cassandra upstairs. Emma clung to his hand the entire walk, as though afraid he'd vanish the second she let go. When they reached the office, Cassandra closed the door, leaned against it, and exhaled shakily, as though holding herself together by sheer force of will. Daniel. She paused. The name felt new on her tongue, personal. I wronged you. He stayed silent. I fired the man who saved my child's life. Her voice trembled. I judged you without listening. I dismissed you like you were nothing. Daniel shifted, uncomfortable with her vulnerability. Ma'am. No, she interrupted, shaking her head. Let me say this. She looked him directly in the eyes. I am sorry. Deeply, truly sorry. Emma nodded furiously beside him as if backing her mother up. Cassandra took a breath. I want to reinstate you immediately, with a significant raise, additional benefits, and full job security. If you'll accept it. Daniel felt his throat tighten. After the humiliation he'd faced moments ago, the offer felt unreal. But he also thought of Lily, of rent, of survival. All except. Emma cheered and hugged him around the waist. Cassandra let out a shaky laugh of relief. But then she composed herself and stepped closer, her voice softer. There's something else. Daniel looked up. Ma'am, Emma trusts no one the way she trusts you, Cassandra said gently. After what happened, after today, I need someone I can trust with her safety. I'd like to offer you a new position. As Emma's personal safety aide, her protector. Emma lit up like a sunrise. That means you get to hang out with me all the time. Daniel laughed. A real, full laugh he hadn't felt in years. Well, that sounds like a pretty important job. Cassandra smiled softly, a warmth in her eyes that felt startling, disarming. It is, she said. The most important one. Daniel took Emma's hand and nodded. Then I'd be honored. For a long moment, the three of them stood there, an unexpected trio bound together by fear, courage, and a twist of fate none of them could have predicted. Cassandra looked at Daniel with something that went beyond gratitude. Something that hinted that this moment, this connection, might be the beginning of a chapter none of them had planned for. And just like that, the man she'd fired became the man she trusted most. The man her daughter adored, the man who had already saved their world once, and might do so again.